this video, we touch on the mysterious disappearances of 5 specific NASCAR drivers. One day they suddenly stopped racing without anyone noticing, and I had to dive deep into the internet to find out any current information that possibly existed on their statuses.
Who can tell me if you know a famous Australian?
The most notable Australian NASCAR driver was Marcos Ambrose. Just before moving to the United States to join NASCAR, his previous seasons as an Australian V8 supercar driver looked something like this. 2003, boom, champion. 2004, boom, champion again. So clearly this guy could race supercars and do so exceptionally well. So what would it really hurt to try his hand at NASCAR? Well, Ambrose immediately was considered as a road course specialist, and he backed it up with his outlying notable finishes in those types of races. And while he was never a threat to win on any of NASCAR's ovals, trips to Watkins Glen or Sonoma meant that it was Ambrose's time to shine. But in 2015, Ambrose left so suddenly. So what exactly happened after NASCAR? Well, according to this Wikipedia article, we can find out that he actually went back to race V8 supercars for Roger Penske, but upon his return to the series, things went the complete opposite way from how he left it. Ambrose was struggling to keep up with his competitors. He admitted that the transition from NASCAR back to the V8 supercars was challenging, and he didn't really see it as the wisest decision to take years to readjust. His final ever start in motorsports was towards the end of the 2015 supercar season, and dressing him up in an Xbox hat and fire suit stuck out like a sore thumb, just like his 2015 results did on his racing resume. And after the demoralizing end to his racing career, Ambrose disappeared almost completely. But in 2022, the Supercars media team visited Ambrose at his isolated home to reveal that he started to live life like any typical person. Along with this, he also mentions that he's still involved in motorsports and tries to help race teams and young drivers be successful. Without this video, we may never have known where Marcos Ambrose would be today. After winning a Daytona 500, your next sights would be set on winning a Cup Series championship, right? Well, not exactly for this driver. Trevor Bayne won the second Cup race he ever started in, which also happened to be a Daytona 500 on the weekend of his 20th birthday. And after 4 seasons of running for the Wood brothers part-time, he'd finally run a full season with Jack Roush in 2015. But things didn't exactly get much better, because in the next 3 seasons his average Cup finish was lower than 20th place. In 2018, Bayne was demoted to a part-time schedule, and he shared his number 6 car with Matt Kenseth for select races. As a result of this, Trevor Bayne may have started to lose his confidence, and he certainly lost the passion he once had for being a race car driver.
I'm a competitive person, I like to compete.
I'm a competitive person and I want to be in the car every week.
After the 2018 season, he disappeared from the NASCAR scene entirely. He seemed to be done pursuing a career in NASCAR altogether, because in 2019, he opened his own coffee shop called Mahalo Coffee Roasters in Tennessee. But maybe a break was all that was needed, because Bayne was offered a seat in the Nice Motorsports entry in the Truck Series to replace Ty Majeski. And after this, Bayne continued racing on a deal-by-deal basis and ran part-time for JGR's Xfinity Series team in 2022. In this role, he finished in the top 10 in all but 2 of his races. A lot of NASCAR fans started to get the sense that Bayne was back to his former 2011 self. But arguably the strangest part is, he's not been seen in another NASCAR race since November of 2022. And it's not even certain what Trevor Bayne is up to right now, but the most recent update we have is when he appeared on SiriusXM NASCAR Radio in February, where he talked about one of his best friends in the sport, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., winning the Daytona 500. I've always looked up to NASCAR drivers and dreamed of having my very own sponsors just like them. Thankfully today, I do. Shout out to Manscaped because they sent their Performance Package 4.0 my way, and these are my favorite things inside of it. This is the Lawnmower 4.0 body trimmer. It's waterproof with advanced skin-safe technology which will reduce the potential nicks and cuts. And did I mention it's waterproof? It has cordless charging and LED lights to show how much battery is left out of the possible 90 minutes starting at a full charge. It also has a travel lock feature to use by tapping the button on the front 3 times. There's also these crop preserver and crop reviver deodorants and sprays, and if you never want to smell bad again, these are so clutch to apply after your shower. Lastly, we have their Weed Whacker nose and ear hair trimmer. It's once again wireless and includes the same skin-safe technology as the Lawnmower 4.0, so there is zero need to worry about tugging or pulling. You can get all of this and 2 free gifts, but to get them you'll have to visit manscaped.com and they'll give you 20% off plus free shipping when you use code RawGator. Thank you Manscaped for providing the right tools for the job. In the 2010s, any driver who is fortunate enough to drive for Roush Fenway Racing's Nationwide Series team was able to put up solid results. And Ryan Reed was really not much different. Reed won 2 Xfinity Series races and found the majority of his success in 2016, 2017, and 2018 by finishing in the top 10 8 times more often than he did in the previous 3 seasons. Back in 2011, Ryan Reed was diagnosed with type type 1 diabetes, and he was told that he would never race again. But a short 5 years later, he made his only start in NASCAR's most prestigious series, the Cup Series, and at Talladega. But after this one race, he would never make another Cup start for the rest of his career. If we fast forward to 2018, Reed's longtime sponsor Lilly Diabetes ended their NASCAR sponsorship. And by complete coincidence, at the same exact time, Roush decided to close operations for their wildly successful Xfinity Series team due to lack of sponsorship. In the blink of an eye, Ryan Reed ended up with nothing. So what did he do? Well, Reed's route was similar to Trevor Bayne's in the sense that he was searching for NASCAR rides on a deal-to-deal basis, and since his team shut down, he's been able to race in 4 Truck Series races, with the last one being in 2021. Nowadays, Ryan occasionally posts to his Twitter account where he talks about the sports he's been watching and more, but when you think of NASCAR drivers that quietly vanished out of the NASCAR scene, Ryan Reed is among the most notable. Sam Hornish Jr. was a 3-time IndyCar champion who came to try his hand at NASCAR, and he was most recently remembered for his time taking over the number 9 for Marcos Ambrose. He actually hung around in NASCAR for a long time despite only actually racing 3 full-time seasons. And if you look down to the Xfinity Series, there's arguably much more to talk about. 2012 and 2013 were by far his best seasons, but with that being said, he would lose the championship to Austin Dillon by only 3 points. And even though he would just narrowly miss out, he would still gather 5 whole wins in the series. In 2017, Hornish dominated an entire race at Mid-Ohio by starting on the pole, leading 62 of the 75 laps, and winning the race. But only 12 weeks later, he wound up making his final NASCAR start ever, where he finished in 2nd. It's fair to assume that after he was released from Richard Petty's Cup team in 2015, that he only really wanted to race in equipment that could compete. But it's still been more than 5 years since Hornish has raced anything competitive. So where is he now? Luckily, NASCAR caught up to him in 2021 to find out. And it turns out, Sam Hornish isn't actually retired from racing. Sure, he might be living a relatively normal life right now, but if he was presented with the right opportunity, he would absolutely be tempted to take it. And according to this interview published by NASCAR, he's been working for his family's trucking company, dabbling in some real estate investing, and sometimes even working as a substitute school teacher. I don't know about you guys, but I found the last one pretty surprising. Ever since Carl Edwards wrecked and lost the championship in his final ever NASCAR start, he disappeared until January 17th, 2017, where he would give a brief retirement speech. And after this day, he would go into something that I would compare to Aaron Rodgers' darkness retreat. To our knowledge, he sat in complete isolation with his family back in Missouri, did some unannounced traveling, and almost completely cut off any prior connections he had dating back to his NASCAR days. It would be over a full year until we would hear another word from Edwards himself.
No, there's no campaign started. I'm not going to be doing anything anytime soon.
His disappearance from NASCAR was so sudden and unexplained that within 1 year since announcing his retirement, a number of rumors circulated with little to no proof to back them up. The most surprising rumor that Edwards himself had heard was that people actually thought he might have been dead, which is obviously very untrue. And towards the end of that same year, Carl finally made his return to NASCAR. But it wasn't to get back behind the wheel. It was only to deliver some updates in an interview. Edwards admitted that he finally started to miss racing, especially at tracks like Sonoma and Homestead. However, while he didn't deny making another start sometime in the future, he all but shut down a full-time return. Carl Edwards' name comes up once every few months, where the most recent time would be in this 2311 teaser video showing the back of someone's head, which would turn out to be one of their future drivers. Wait a minute. That can't be. Surely not, right?
Where you been? We've missed you.
Thank you, that means a lot.
Against all odds. Against all odds.
In your honest opinion, leave a comment down below whether or not you genuinely think Carl Edwards will ever race in NASCAR again. I know it's been like 6 years, but I'm still not gonna rule it out. If you miss Carl Edwards, slap the like button and let's see if we can reach 1999 likes on this video. And make sure to watch this video next to find out what exactly these NASCAR drivers did to ruin their images.